Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Coconut Chats. Today you've got me, Harita, and Chris. How's it going, Chris?
Hey Harita, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So today we've got not one but two guests. The first one is Surya Balakrishnan. So a little bit about Surya. She is a filmmaker, director, and she has her own production house called Footloose Films. She's also a humanitarian. Our second guest is Chhitra Subramanium. She's a film producer and she works with Cross Pictures, which is a South Korean production house. She works as the Senior Vice President of Creative and Production, and she's also a humanitarian. So as you would have noticed from what I've said, both of them have got the fact that they're humanitarians in common. And that brings us to why we're interviewing both of them. Hi Surya and Chhitra, how are you both?
Hey Harita, hi Chris. So nice to be here.
Hi
Absolutely.
Harita, hi Chris. Lovely
Thank,
to be here.
thank you. Likewise, Chitra, and likewise, Surya.
Thank you so much. So both Surya and Chhitra have started two different initiatives, which they will talk a bit about in this interview. One of them is called Padssquad, and the other one is called H.O.P.E, which stands for Hope. So rather than me talking about what these initiatives aim to achieve, let's have the two of them talk about it. So the question goes, my questions equally go to both of you. Tell us about your lives as producers and humanitarians, and also the work that you do with animals, and I guess how you make these three different things come together as one in your lives.
Surya, you go first.
Okay, sure. So I think for me it's been something that it's been the same. I think for many years now since school and college, because my mom comes from a social work background, so it was never separate. It was we it was inculcated in us, my brother and I, to care in whatever small ways possible. So it was not something new or something that we haven't seen or experienced before. And I'm very glad that it's stayed and it's grown and it's growing as a part of my life, apart from being a filmmaker. And I think last year was the highlight for sure, and because of the real need for relief workers to be on ground and to do various things. Suddenly there were so many of us. Maybe each of us were doing things on our own in small little ways, but all of us got connected. Like Chitra and I have met 3 years ago on a project. I mean, very briefly. And then we knew that there is a Chhitra and there's a Surya, but we never really connected because we were industry associates. But as soon as relief work started, that's when we started doing so many things together. And there are so many like us, and we've just met so many like-minded people. And I think more and more have come to realize that people are conscious, and even the ones who weren't as conscious earlier are slowly getting to do their little bit. So yeah, I don't know if I deviated, but yeah, that's from me.
So is it the same for you, Chhitra, how you have got these three different parts of your life and how you both connected over it?
Yeah. So my animal shelter, which which a few of us got together and co-founded, and we have it a little outside of Bombay. That started about 5 years ago, and we were doing small little things, whatever we could do. And I was doing a few things here and there, but COVID really, I think, brought out, if I may say, the opportunity, to do a lot more. And it grew because of, so many like-minded people getting together who were doing many, many things, just as what Surya said. Yeah, I wanted Surya to direct an ad for me for Bumble at that time, and then I wanted her to direct a film for me, but we started doing this, which is absolutely marvelous, most pleasurable, and it's absolutely fabulous working with her. So our social work Jodi is good, I think.
Nice.
I do want to add that because Chhitra mentioned Bumble, I've just been dateless because I've only been in Bastis with Chhitra.
Most of us are. It's the same on this side of the world too. This brings me to the second part, Chitra. What led you to start the H.O.P.E initiative? Like, tell us about your journey with this.
So, like Surya said, we were doing different things, whether it was menstrual hygiene, and whether it was food, whether it was addressing hunger, whether it was addressing medical needs. And the thing is that so many things keep coming up. And during COVID, we've seen that, every minute there is some request, there is some crisis, there is some need. And Hope started with the thought that how can we spread hope? What can we do? And how do we bring it in one umbrella and address various needs? So we're agnostic in that sense, in the sense that we're not saying that we're addressing only one particular need. A need is a need, and how can we be there to do whatever little that we can, however much and however little, whatever we can do. So that's how Hope started, and Hope started with the second wave, because we knew that it was going to be a tough ride. After the first wave, people had lost their livelihood, people had lost their savings. Some of the middle classes had come into the lower middle class bracket. The lower middle class bracket had come down to the poor bracket, and the poor had become extremely poor. So this crisis, and we didn't know how long it would go on for and how brutal it would be. And it was brutal. So Hope started at that time, and Surya and I, who also co-founded Padssquad with 5 other wonderful women and Devashish, one man, we decided that we would do this together. That's how Hope started.
Just a quick question, Chitra, on that. So with your initiative, which you started during the second wave, so have you been able to extend your help to all the migrant workers that we've seen crossing the roads, who are walking barefoot? Has any help been given to them?
Yes. So just a quick one on the migrant workers. The migrant workers last year went back.
Yeah.
Then there was Surya and I were also part of an initiative called Shramik Samman, which was started by Anil Hebar and Bilal and Lara. Which is to try and build businesses for them, help them build their own businesses in the area that they were originally from, and in their homes, which is the place that they went back to. However, what we found is that apart, the migrants have come back to the city. Okay, so most of the migrants returned. So that exodus that we saw, unfortunately, didn't help them. But they did the right thing at that time, because the thing is, why they went back home? Because they wanted to go back home, because they said that if we have to die, at least let's die in our own homes. That was the reason, more than anything else. And that is what was heartbreaking. So today, there is no segregation of, are we working for migrants? Are we working for non-migrants? It's nothing like that. It's a mixed bag right now. Awesome. People are in the city, and Bombay is a melting pot. Of course, there are so many migrants, and so there are more migrants than locals. So we're doing whatever we can. Hunger, medical help, anything. I mean, whatever we can, we do.
Nice. So that's what Hope does, and you touched a little bit on Padssquad. Can you tell us and our listeners a bit more about what Padssquad does, and then obviously how that's different to Hope?
Surya?
Sorry. So Padssquad started last year, and at that point, like I mentioned earlier, many of us were doing different kinds of relief work, and with doing relief work comes this Herculean task of constantly raising funds, however little or more it might be depending on, who's doing what. But I think last year there was a point when everyone had already exhausted their friends and family. Everyone had asked people for funds, and everyone were also helping. I think people were also helping a lot. And then we are, like Chhitra mentioned, we are 8 co-founders, but Chhitra and Taranjeet, who's, it was their brainwave right at the beginning when, they were in a basti and in a community, and, some women asked for pads. And then, they said, okay, instead of asking for money, let's ask people to send sanitary napkins, like, buy it on Amazon and send it, which became such a, which was such a brilliant idea, because I think in the first week you guys had around, 400 or 500 packs. And also I think the ask was simpler, and also it was easier for people to give. Maybe I can only afford to buy 1 pack of sanitary napkins and send it to Chhitra, but maybe Haritha, you can buy 10, and maybe Chris can buy 20. So there was no pressure on, on the giver or the taker. And also that, as soon as you're not asking for money, there's a lot more trust. People are sending it because, then they know that, okay, we're going to be the ones who are going to go and actually do the work of giving the pads. Yeah. And I think from, all of us in Bombay who were doing, a few things here and there, and soon Pune started, and from there, I asked one friend, I think Chhitra asked some friend, somebody else asked some other friend. And because it was such a simple idea to replicate, the movement, as we call it, started growing pretty fast. And each of us were just tapping on our own networks to ask for sanitary napkins. And initially, of course, we thought that it was like a 1 month or a 2 month thing, and thoda sa pad, we'll give a few pads and then we should be fine. But it hasn't stopped, and it's only grown. So we're about more than around 75 of us in 30 odd cities. I surely cannot keep track of it anymore. And we have created a really nice buddy system where the 8 co-founders are buddies to one set of people. So the communication is simpler. And also over time we've now started doing reusable pads, doing menstrual cups. And everything takes time, but our primary focus is, the comfort of a woman. So we don't want to go and give gyan saying, the environment, you're spoiling the environment and use a menstrual cup. We do our cup trainings, but our intention is not just to go and be talking about it. We just want to give them what they want. You want pads, here, take it. And that's our main focus.
Surya raised a couple of points. First is fundraising. We know that it's been a challenge for all the people who started these noble initiatives. And the other one is awareness of not just the environment, but you need to use these sanitation products, right? How do you go about raising this awareness? Obviously, you go to different parts and talk to the women, but how do you ensure that they're actually listening to you, they're actually using the products, and they're actually kind of going the right way? How do you ensure that?
Yeah, I'll just take the second question. I'll let Chhitra, who's the better person to talk about fundraising, speak about fundraising. So, one initially, and even now, mostly we've kind of reached communities where we know people already, or we work along. We initially, especially, we worked along with another organization who was giving us access to these communities. So one, there was already trust. They know that we're not there for anything else. Secondly, we kind of just focused on giving them the sanitary napkins. We weren't getting into are you using it or not using it, and we would give only for 1 month. I remember when I joined and I was telling Chhitra that, hey, let's give for 6 months, let's not keep going back to the same place, right? And one of the things the women do is, because they just don't have any money, and for no other reason, they would sell these extra packs that they have. So we would just give them for 1 month and then keep going back. So and of course there is maybe there is a percentage of them who don't use it, who prefer cloth pad and cloth and things like that. But it's a chance we take. So, and we are not there to, we tell them the health benefits. There's a helpline number as well that we've tied up with another organization. It's a 24/7 helpline number. but beyond that, it's really up to them. We're there, and once they see you coming, multiple times, and they get comfortable asking you questions or telling you their problems, I think it becomes easier. It doesn't happen in like one visit to a community, for sure. Yeah,
Chhitra,
Chhitra.
over to you for the fundraising models.
Okay, so there are different fundraising models. People give money to either a cause that they really believe in, but more importantly, people give money to people that they trust. And so what we have done is that because we are not an NGO and we don't have the necessary, and Padssquad is not an NGO. Padssquad is a people's movement, and we don't take money. We take either pads, or we have a link on Donate Card where people donate the money, and Donate Card pays to the vendor directly, so we get pads. And we've stuck to that philosophy of not taking money. So people automatically, like Surya said, when you don't take money, there's trust. So that's been a super successful model. In the case of H.O.P.E, what we've done is that we definitely need funds, because the programs that we are running, and Surya will talk about one of our key programs after this, we need cash, we need money. So we've really dipped into social media in a big way, and that's really been our main fundraising driver, as it were, even in the case of Padssquad, pad donations as well. So we keep putting appeals out on social media, and we also knock on the doors of our friends and family. And there are so many now, it's much easier for us to fundraise because people have seen our work. So they know that if the money goes to a Surya or a Chhitra or whatever they're doing, it's every rupee is going to be accounted for. Every rupee is going to be spent in the right direction. And our social media updates is what they look at. So we tell them to follow our social media and take a look at that. And certain, bigger donors who are consistently sort of donating to us, we give them updates. And then we are trying for CSR, and we've been a little successful on CSR, but not in a massive way, because we're still, we're not a khana chahiye, we are not a massive NGO, right? So but it's tough. Fundraising is tough.
Yeah.
But I also find that when there is a need and a request comes where there is a need, there's always another phone call that comes, and I see this miracle every other day. That somebody will come up and say, what, Chhitra, do you want this? And I see that every other day. So if suppose there's a need for a lakh of rupees for books, for example, for the children, and suddenly I'll get a call from some friend and say, listen, I'm sending you 25,000 rupees, because I will spend it. This is my birthday and I want to give it, and you decide where you want to give it. So 25,000 is taken care of. I don't know, the universe works in very beautiful ways. And what it is that if we keep our intent pure, if we keep our intent strong, and we don't take any money, we are pure volunteers, right? So though we've started, H.O.P.E, and we're one of the co-founders of Padssquad, but we don't take any money, and I think the universe listens to that. That's all I can say. And somewhere the universe makes those telephone calls to various people, or puts thoughts in the heads of various people.
True.
And we see that all the time. Yeah.
So have you guys received any international funds, or do you have any international sponsors, Chhitra?
Yes, absolutely. This time around, for Padssquad, the first appeal that went out, we had the first post that we put out, and it was a well-designed, appeal. And we got pads from US, from Doha, from Qatar. People were, they just poured in. In terms of funds also, even for H.O.P.E now, we've got a lot of funding from the US. So we've tied up with Crowdera, which is a link, and so we can take in dollars as well. And we've got a friend in New Zealand who started a GoFund campaign for us. In fact, I should share it with you, Harita and Chris.
Yeah, I wonder if I know that person.
Yeah, so I will share that with you. And she's raised 1,000 so far.
Wow.
It started a couple, 3 weeks ago or so. Her aim is to get us $10,000. So I'll share it with you all. I'll be really grateful if you all can.
Oh yeah, I would love to help her out, especially if she lives in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So how many volunteers do you have working with H.O.P.E and Padssquad?
Surya, you wanna?
Well, I think I'll start with H.O.P.E. It's easier. H.O.P.E, I think as of now we're a team of 9. Including one of our friends who's helping us with social media, because that's a whole different task altogether, and we said okay, it's too much. Let someone handle it. But and they're all friends, friends of Chitra's and friends of mine, friends we work with, who have who know us well and who've seen us do something. And I also feel that somewhere I think we've started H.O.P.E so that people who wanted to come and volunteer with us, they feel like they're a part of a bigger cause, and they're not coming hanging with Surya and Chhitra and doing something. So so each of them are actually they've all taken up their own one of them has literally adopted a community, so he does everything around for that. There's somebody who handles all our just everyday communication of this ration has to reach there, and somebody else is taking care of animals. So and everyone has their own interest and liking. Of course they would come for any other task that we'd call them, but and they slowly, I think, through this, developing their own relationships in the communities with people, and I'm sure in a matter of time they'd be running their own causes, and which they should. So yeah, it's a sweet little team we have. Padssquad, on the other hand, we're about 75-76 of us, and there would be sometimes we'd have these calls, and then there'd be so many people. I'd be like, who is this person? Is this person a part of Padssquad? Because there are just so many people. And but I think just because of this whole buddy system that we have, it's been pretty smooth. I take care of my buddies, Chhitra takes care of her buddies, and there is a certain system that they have to, once they do a drive, they send in their emails. And so of course it's chaotic, but it's nice. And the energy, and all, like, there's a 60-year-old woman, there's a 14-year-old girl, and different, all sorts of energy. So it's pretty fantastic. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's just amazing to hear the kind of positive energy that's just coming out from the way you guys work. It's just amazing. The next question is a bit related to what you guys have been doing. So what have been your biggest challenges till date in these 2 projects? Have you guys faced any backlash or any challenge that has been an obstacle, so to say?
I mean, I don't know I don't think that there have been any challenges. It's only that the challenge is that if somebody wants something and needs something, the challenge is to, fulfill that very, very quickly to the amount that is required. At the same time, like I said, once the intent is very pure, then, somehow things happen. Yeah. That is one challenge, but I don't see any challenges at all.
So then you've explained how you've got to where you are now, and especially in the last year with the second wave of COVID happening. Where do you see both H.O.P.E and Padssquad going in the future, say in the next 1 year and then beyond that?
Surya, you want to take that?
Sure. I think maybe we both can, I'll maybe start off with Padssquad. It's a movement which has grown organically from the word go, and I'm constantly growing. That every day someone new who joins, and also a few of us, and the rest, the bigger team, who take breaks for a couple of months because, you know, they have things to do, or there's COVID, or, you know, family stress. But there's constant work happening, and every day, at least in 5 cities, someone or the other is going out and doing something and sending us updates. So that's one, I think Padssquad will continue, because, you know, there's always going to be a need for menstrual care, and so that'll go on. You know, we may stop, but the movement will surely continue. With hope, I don't know. I think last year also, when we started off, we said, chalo, 1 or 2 months we'll do something and then we'll get back to work. But it doesn't seem like that for sure. And, you know, we have ideas every morning. Unfortunately, or fortunately, Chhitra and I both are really early morning people. So we start with like ideas at 6 in the morning. I think now we're trying to have some sort of a system where we connect after 4, so that, you know, our entire day we're not thinking of hope. But you know, there will always, you know, like I think Chhitra always said, there's always going to be a need, and there's always going to be someone who's going to come and help, and we're just the facilitators. So I think we'll continue to facilitate for a long time in whatever capacity we can.
That's amazing. Chhitra, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, hope will continue. Padssquad will continue. As long as women menstruate, Padssquad will continue. Okay, which should be forever. It's a people's movement, so, you know, there'll be people who will come and people who will drop off, and some will do it sometimes, some will wake up sometimes, some will, you know, sleep sometime. That's fine. In the case of hope, you know, Surya and I have been discussing. We've been doing, you know, a lot of relief operation, and one of the things that we want to do is to look at sustainability, which is to take on long-range, you know, interventions that can impact lives and have, you know, bring a change in the long term for people. And one of those is education. So we've started small. We're now, you know, looking at very deserving, you know, lesser and underprivileged girls, boys, and saying, you know, they want to study, and what can we do for them? So we're taking care of their fees. That's one of the things. That's you know, sustainable, right? Education will be one of the main things. Hunger is you know, is a bigger pandemic in India than COVID actually right now. So, you know, we're trying to address that with grocery kits and so on. And, you know, to end this question, Surya can talk about the kids program, which is really what we've been doing on a very sustained basis. Surya, you want to talk about that?
Surya, you're muted.
When we started Hope, and also at that time, a lot of the younger people, kids and youth, were getting affected by the virus, which wasn't the case last year. You know, last year it was, you know, at least 40 and above. So this time when we saw that children were also getting COVID, you know, instead of saying, okay, what can we do for them later, we said we need to do something right now to build their immunity. And because, you know, people had really lost jobs, so, you know, basic meals also were tough. So nutritious food was, you know, completely out of the question. So we said, chalo, let's start. So one of the communities where we started in first, that's the community that, you know, Chhitra and I've been working through the year. So we said, okay, there's this, you know, lovely gentleman, Gulab Bhai, who runs a school there. So we said, let's start with, you know, the first 230 children of the school. And so the program is a simple two eggs on one day, and the second day is, you know, banana and milk, and then it alternates, and it's every day. And, you know, from there it went to second community, third community. Right now, so we're at we have 1,500 children in our nutrition program every single day. And in, you know, first we said 1 week, 2 weeks, but right now we're really doing everything to raise funds so that we can at least run it for 6 months, so that there's an actual change. You know, it makes an actual difference in the children's health. So we do take their weight every month. Next month we're planning for a doctor checkup for all the children. So in our small way, but we want to do it for 6 months so that there's some tangible impact on the children.
Before I wrap up the chat, Chhitra, you mentioned a few seconds ago about sustainable programs, right? So I was just thinking about one of the sustainable programs could also be raising an awareness about family planning in the lower sections of the society. So have you guys given it some thought, or is it something on the cards that you would like to kind of venture on sometime in the future?
Haven't thought about it. It's a great idea because COVID has been all about relief, because there's been just every day there's a crisis.
Yeah.
And family planning is a good idea, but we haven't really thought about it.
No, just curious that maybe you guys have it on your minds for some time in the future.
No, not yet. Not yet.
You're thriving on 1 billion people in the country, so something needs to be done. All right, guys, I'm mindful of the time that we have. So before we wrap up, is there something that you would like to tell our listeners? I'll start with you, Chhitra, and then we'll move on to Surya.
I feel that we're all human beings who take a lot from this planet, and we're social beings, and we need to give back to this planet and to people. So we can be whoever we are, and yet everybody should do something for somebody else.
Surya?
Yeah, I'll just say that, a lot of times people ask us that, hey, how are you guys managing to do so much? Chhitra does like 20 times the work that I do. But, the only thing I'd like to say is that it's actually really simple and it doesn't take up that much time. Even if you can care for, one little cause or person or, animal, that's enough. But it really doesn't take time. It feels like, oh my God, we've stopped all our other work and we're doing this relief work, but that's not true at all. We Netflix and chill and
and drink a lot of beer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you do have lives as well.
Oh, we have lives. It's very simple. If somebody wants to do something, start with your radius of 50 meters. Then grow that radius to 100 meters. And try and help somebody over there. And what happens is that people will start coming together, and you will not be alone because people will start joining hands. And it's only together one can do something.
You're so right.
Yeah. So.
One thing we haven't asked the two of you yet is, what are the social media channels for Padssquad and H.O.P.E, so our listeners can follow you on your social media?
So Padssquad is PADSSQUAD because we didn't get just Padssquad. And H.O.P.E is, again, we didn't get H.O.P.E, so it's H.O.P__E.
Nice. That's what you have to do with Instagram, come up with creative names.
Yeah, I know. We just tried various permutation, combination. Once you got to go like, okay, this is it.
Yeah. Nice.
And we're most active on Insta.
Okay, that's good. I've seen on your Instagram pages that you put regular updates, which is really good. Then your followers can actually see what you're doing. So it was really lovely chatting to the two of you. I wish we could talk for longer because there's still so many more questions we've got, especially the fact that you've got two different but similar initiatives as well. It's like it's not just one, but you've actually really thought outside the box and what people in India really need right now, which is amazing. It was so nice talking to you both. To our listeners, if you have any feedback on this episode or if you have any comments at all, feel free to email us at coconutchats@gmail.com, or you can comment under the video on YouTube or Facebook or private message us. Any way works. We will always read your comments. If you've got ideas for future episodes, or if you know someone amazing out there that would like to be interviewed, also get in touch with us. And if you like what you hear, remember to like, share, and comment on these videos. But until next time, it's a wrap from us, And thank you, Surya and Chhitra. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you
Lovely.
so much. It was so nice chatting
Thank
to
you.
you.
It was so nice chatting with you. I'm going to send you the GoFund link so you can put it
Yes.
below our video.
Sure.
And if anybody can, donate on that, that'll be really helpful. And if you can, any donations that come are going to help some kids, are going to help somebody, and it's going to go to the person, and it'll really help them.
Yeah,
Sure.
we will definitely add that on our notes under the recording as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Lovely talking to you all.
Thank you.
Bye.